So once again, we live here on the Late Night Chronicles Quarantine Edition. As you can see, we live at the house today. It's a beautiful day, so we're going to film outside. We got our guest in the house. We got our guest on the Zoom screen right here. This is episode 7.
Late Night Chronicles, Season 1, Episode 7. Can you believe it?
Curfew edition.
Curfew edition! We went from quarantine to fucking quarantine edition. I cannot. But I wanted to say this to begin with this statement before we, start our show. Late Night Chronicles was created to showcase Arizona's pride and other talents all around the valley, encouraging others to be brave and share their stories with us and inspire and uplift others. Yep. Our show was already mapped out for our first season, but due to the horrifying current events that we are all facing, we wanted to make sure to share our platform to have an open dialogue in regards to this matter. We also want to remind people that Late Night Chronicles, we are not a media. We open and share our platform to be the voice for the community, focusing on sharing information to better educate our community and focusing in mental health.
There you go.
Without further ado, our guest.
That's right. So we have live here, we have Ryan Winkle. How you doing, sir?
Pretty good, man.
Thank you for being here. And in the studio.
In the studio, we have my good friend,
what's up?
Fashion designer, entrepreneur.
What's poppin'? What's good? How y'all doing?
We good, brother. I'm
happy
glad
to be on.
here.
Happy to be on.
My man got some shoes. He didn't bring us no shoes. He didn't bring us no gifts, no
look,
cookies.
I got you.
I got you.
I'm gonna order you guys.
I got you.
Because this is a show. We supposed to, promote my man. You said I got my Blackwater here, of course. You want to start with the first question?
All right, well, first I wanted to ask, how y'all doing from quarantine to curfew? Let's start with quarantine.
Yeah, what's going on?
How did that affect you guys' life?
To be honest, the quarantine was beautiful for me because I felt like I discovered things that I didn't know I was good at. Like, I figured out how to sew.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't know how to sew at all, but now I can make a complete shirt from just screwing up hundreds of times. And, you know what I mean? So,
that's how you do it.
That's how you do
it's
it.
Making mistakes,
and then, I just felt like it was like a discovery moment for me, so I appreciate the quarantine, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I mean, obviously it affected the business a little bit, but you got to find little loops, little gaps.
That's true.
And if you find those little gaps and those glitches, it's a beautiful thing.
It is.
Maybe.
How about you, Ryan? Because I know you and I are personal. We talked off camera about how the quarantine affects you. How did it affect you?
I mean, work-wise, I lost a significant contract, but I mean, mostly it wasn't that bad. I do a lot of stuff online anyways, and for the contract I have right now, which is the U.S. Census 2020, I had to go in every day anyway, so I didn't get a stop. But where it really affected me was more mentally, where I was kind of man, all these people are hurting, and what do you do? What can you do as a person that's part of the community? What can you do?
Yeah.
Our other guest said, I just said, I found some personal things too, where I was like, hey, this helped me because it made me really focus on my family and focus on some things. But at the same time, you see all these people hurting, and you just, what do you do?
What do you do? You're right.
Yeah.
So, but how did this curfew affect you?
The curfew so far hasn't really affected me because, I mean, if you look at the actual rules,
Yeah.
it's more really just a reason to be able to arrest somebody and detain somebody. It's not necessarily a real curfew because, depending on who you are, what you look like, you can be driving around and maybe you can't go to the club.
Yeah.
But you can be going somewhere and say, okay,
Okay.
I drove to my friend's house.
Okay.
I'm going home, whatever,
Okay, speaking of, you said going out. When the quarantine was lifted, did anybody go out? I didn't. I'm gonna let all these people catch the first wave.
I didn't go out.
I didn't go out.
I heard everybody who did go out, I heard the cases spiked up 1,000 new cases. Something like that. So,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You gotta look out for your family as well too. You can't just go out and then pass it to your family if somebody who can't handle it. So.
You're right.
I saw the frustration of like what Ryan said. It's mentally challenging. Mm-hmm. It can be mentally challenging, or it can be a positive outlook too.
Right.
But I think people are just so tired of the quarantine that everybody went out. But for me, it's I honestly didn't want to go out because I'm trying to go back.
I'm
and
guilty.
see my family
we went out to a
in
restaurant.
California,
You can't really just
You can't think by yourself
Yeah, you
anymore.
can't be
You have
selfish.
to think about, like, I was supposed to see my family in March, and that even got me depressed because I couldn't see them.
Right.
'Cause
Yeah.
it hit us in March, but
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like your inner prepper has to come out, you know, like
The prepper, we talked about that.
just for this or logistics for that. What does it mean? And, you know, and if you got kids like us, it's like double now because we're like, okay, we want to go. Just yesterday, we wanted to get our daughter a new chair because her car chair is getting a little too small.
Yeah.
What does that mean if 4 of you go to the store now? You know what I mean? Where if one of you goes to the store, it's like, okay, I can hurry up, get in, get out, get my mask on, wash my hands, whatever. You know, but 4 of you, you know, kids, they're all over the place. You know.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. How about you? How did the curfew?
The curfew didn't really bother me, but with everything going on, and you know, I didn't really want to touch that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, really, like, try to like be that guy that like, oh, I'm gonna stay out till 8:30 just to see what happens. You know what I mean? So I was like, I made sure that I was home before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like, I don't want to risk it. You know what I mean? With everything
Exactly.
going on, like, it's just it's not worth putting yourself.
It's different nowadays.
Different, super different.
Because I was talking to you yesterday because I volunteer a lot for the community, and I was almost at the place where we get food for a food pantry.
Right.
You know, feeding the people who were affected by COVID-19. I'm halfway there. I was like, oh shoot, I ain't got my wallet. I got to turn back around.
Yeah, you got to. You got to.
I'm like, he was calling me too. I'm like, dude, this is the wrong time for you not to have your fucking wallet.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm like, yeah, where's my shit? So I had to turn
Look
back
how
around.
you're doing.
Even if you complain, I was just like, man, I don't feel like dealing with that. It's just,
You just don't know. Like,
you just don't know.
Let's not tiptoe about it. I wanted to ask, where were you guys when the looting happened, and how did it affect you guys mentally, and how did your families affected
Who's
by
that
it?
first question going to? Going to Ryan?
Whoever wants to go
Ryan.
first.
Great, Ryan, go ahead.
Ryan.
Okay. You know, for us, it's bothersome because a lot of the things that I do revolves around small businesses and neighborhoods, right?
Yeah.
The small businesses community, they took some big offense to looting, which, I mean, you know, granted, anyone can take offense to looting, right? But at the same time, you got to realize when someone's not heard, they're going to go the extra mile, and then people are taking advantage of that extra mile, you know? So you're like, okay, they're going to loot. We got insurance. How much does stuff really matter to somebody, you know? Like, but I mean, I think it's hard. Not only that, all this stuff is just, it's tiresome. You know, it's fatiguing. Like, the bad politics, the COVID, the work, the volunteer, everything. It's just fatiguing to people. You know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How about you, brother?
Me being a small business owner, I wasn't a fan of the looting, but I understood where they were coming from.
I understand.
Because at some point, the peaceful protesting that we've been doing for years wasn't getting heard.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't agree with it, but that's the only way to be heard. But
it's about time, right?
It's like about time to be heard. 'Cause, like,
It's about
Even Ryan's like, it's about time.
yeah, you know what I mean? Because, like, there's too many lives being lost. Like, that's like not being like, if it wasn't for social media, we probably wouldn't even heard of George Floyd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's social media.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So, like, I felt like it's not the right thing to do, but it got a point across, and now like everybody's protesting peacefully, which is good.
Yeah.
Since the inception of cell phones, it's more, you see it more.
Yeah. There's no hiding. I mean,
There's no
social
hiding.
media is so
Hiding.
powerful.
It is, and people don't really understand that.
Same thing.
What was the first?
Phones, it wouldn't have mattered as much, you know?
You're right. When was the first time you saw that happening? I know the exact date.
Writing?
1991, March 3rd, when the world first saw Rodney King. And that was on the cell phone. That was on a video camera.
I wasn't even alive. I know I was born in 91.
You were born in 91?
I don't
Oh,
know.
I
It
didn't
was
realize
crazy.
you're a baby.
It was crazy in 91, man. LA was on fire.
Like
Yeah.
fire?
I mean, they burned it. They was burning.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like blocks.
That's
And then there
crazy.
was a time too, I remember there's twice in Arizona where things got a little bit crazy, was when they denied the Super Bowl. Well, the Super Bowl didn't come here because they didn't honor Martin Luther King holiday.
That's
yeah,
right. I remember that.
Yeah.
I heard about
And that's when Public Enemy wrote that song, By the Time I Get to Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
I heard about that.
Especially, and I was like, damn, this song is hard. And I was just like, man, that's about Arizona, that's about our state.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when SB 1070 came out later, then you had people like Manu Chao and some of these large like groups spanning Arizona. They're like, man, people all around the country think of us as like these redneck, crazy, gun-toting, get off my land, you know, hanging people, racist, you know, like people here.
That's crazy. How about you?
How do you feel, Thomas?
How you feel?
It gave me a lot of anxiety.
Oh yeah.
It's so much anxiety. Because I choose to stay in my bubble.
Right.
And every time I go to social media, I associated protesting to looting that goes hand in hand. That made me really terrified to even be a part of the protest.
Right.
So I had like a negative view of the protest because I associated with looting. But then again, I wasn't really fully informed of how that thing is separated.
Right.
And I actually went to the protest, and it was my first time. And
How was it?
You know what? It was really different. It was nothing that I expected. It was very peaceful. My friend who's a videographer, his name is AJ. I called him first because he's literally, since day one, he's been in there. And it's like nonstop. He's showing up every day. He said, like, I just called him and was like, hey, you've been in there, how's it going? You know, we talked about looting and my views of looting and protest. And it's like, not at all, it's very peaceful. It's a very powerful experience, you should come and check it out. So I was like, you know what? He was already out. I was like, all right, let's do it. And the three of us, the friends that I had at that time, it was everybody's first time.
Protest?
Yeah, and literally you go in there, and it was quiet. Like, you know, they did the introduction, and then you see people, what do you call this, walking out, and they were like somewhat quiet. And then the minute they started chanting every single name, I got so emotional.
Start crying?
No, I didn't want to because it was my first time. Like, the friends that I was with, I'm like, I don't want them to like, girl, what are you doing? But literally, I had to look down so many times because I felt it. Like, it's different of like, I saw the video of George Floyd.
Yeah.
And then when they started naming every single person, I got so emotional. My eye, like, I feel my tears. I look down.
Yeah.
And then when they say George Floyd's name,
it hit you.
all I could picture is his face, and I had to step back for a minute because I'm like,
what got me, Ryan, was when he called out for his mama.
Man,
I was like, I cried. I was like, damn, he calling for his mama.
Yeah.
Because it's like this, and I said it before, it's like, I know they want to charge the officers who didn't do anything, I get that. But I'm also the type of brother, like, if I see somebody, like, literally dying in front of me, I'd take one for the team. Nobody rushed the cop. I mean, what's going to happen? You're going to get tased, you're going to get arrested, but at least you would have tried. That's just my take.
Yeah, I hear you. I said to my mom, at what point is it okay to go punch a cop in the face, like, get off of him, you know?
Or, something like, hey, come on, dude. But I'll tell you what, that Asian dude, the Asian guy, the look on his face was like, man, should I say something? It's like, man.
And in fact,
what point could he have said that? Like, what point, you know?
And the Puerto Rican cop who they showed, it was his day 3.
Wow.
I'm embarrassed for our people that you just stood there and did not do nothing.
For the other dude, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy, bro.
But it's kind of like, too, when you see a fight, you know, out in the street. At what point are you like, all right, you kicked his ass, stop.
Yeah, okay, he ain't moving.
Or whatever, you know what I mean?
He tapped out.
Right.
I mean, I understand that, like, the we're gonna say color, right? I understand the black people not doing anything because they're already targeting them.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure there's, like, know your white privilege. I'm pretty sure there's other race out there that if that Asian cop didn't stand up for what is right, I'm pretty sure there's another color in there besides black that they can step up and, you know what I'm saying, do something
after
about
the show. There's another video that happened in LA when the white folks are telling them, hey, don't tell them no information. I'll show you the video. The white folks did stand up.
Yeah.
But it's like, come on, like, don't just stand up for, like, I think everyone have an obligation nowadays in this time to stand up for everybody.
Yeah.
It's like what everybody said. It's no longer one race's fight. It's humanity's fight. It doesn't matter what fucking shade you are. If you're in a building, if it's happening in front of you, come on. I saw a video that at the courthouse, and this black guy was like, I don't know the context of the details, and he was saying something, and literally 2 Asian people are shielding them, and they're not touching them. They're trying to reach to the black guy. So use your white, like, you know, your privilege wisely. Like, stand up for some people that couldn't stand up.
Use their privilege wisely.
But you know, like,
That's
it's
a new
like,
one.
I think not just even with police, but like, for example, like someone I know I was talking to about it. When you step in on something, you know.
Yeah,
I saw a guy punching a lady in the face once. It was like a domestic violence thing, right? So he stepped in and he started just beating up the guy and like, don't punch a woman. And then the lady straight up hit him in the back of the head with a brick.
Yeah. Don't touch my man. Like, I'm trying to help you out, lady.
He's like, what are you doing? Like, come on. And so he's like, now he's afraid to ever step in on something because he's like, man, I tried it. And
that didn't work. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But Ron, let me ask you this. So, being mixed, have you seen any kind of privilege? Because when people don't know your background, they may think you're a white dude.
Yeah, well, look, man, I look white, I talk white, I grew up in the United States, you know, my dad's white, my mom's white. And you know how Filipinos are like, kind of be like white, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, the Philippines, it's like they've always been conquered, so they've always worshipped the Spanish, they've worshipped the American, they've worshipped whatever it is. They don't even, their Filipino language is not even the national language.
No.
It's like, so it's kind of like, for me, I totally recognize my white privilege, you know, and even for my wife who's Mexican, right?
Yeah.
Full Mexican, but white Mexican, like she's a lighter skinned Mexican.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So she's considered the white, you know what I mean? And so, but even when her and I are out and she's trying to talk about something to like a restaurant place and complaining about the bill or something, the dude's like, yeah, whatever, like accent, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, hey man, what's going on with this bill? And he's like, oh, you know what, sir, we'll get that taken care of.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's true. It's so true. I went to the state building one time to do, it was a Latino business development summit.
Yeah.
And I had a friend who was the speaker, okay?
Yeah.
Kind of a short, dark Mexican guy, really stand-up business guy. They'd sit there and say, yeah, go ahead, sir. And they're like, oh, we need to make sure and, like, frisk him down, blah, blah, blah.
What?
You see this, Ryan? That's what you get, man. That's what, you know, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, my God, man, this is real. The state house, you know?
The state house. How about you? You ever experienced that?
What?
Anything? Like, I know I'm going to get some flack for this, but when Obama was president, I was like, yeah, that's the right brother to be president. We talking about? Because, you know, he's that non-threatening looking type of brother. Like, they're not going to elect Wesley Snipes to be president. Like, oh no, you might be too radical.
Wesley will have some problems.
You might have some problems. You might go to the back door and they might go, who are you? I'm the president, motherfucker. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad.
Look at Killer Mike.
Look at Killer Mike.
Right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
You're gonna like that guy?
Exactly. So, being light-skinned, how about you? You ever experienced anything?
I mean,
I'm coming with my man next.
Living in Oakland, and I didn't realize what colorism or really racism is about until I lived in Oakland. I was 16. I was hanging out with my friend who's black, and literally we got pulled over, and he was like, switch with me. I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, just switch with me. And we literally switched, and
did you get
They didn't even, the thing is, he didn't even ask for my license.
Mm-hmm.
I was 16 and I didn't get my license until I was 19. So he goes like, did you realize that you didn't stop in a stop sign? And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, officer. I didn't realize that. Didn't ask for my license, didn't ask for nothing, and then he just let us go. And then my friend was like, if I was in the chair, it would be a different story.
Definitely.
So, and before I even moved here in California, I got away with 6 speeding tickets.
Wow.
6 speeding
Don't say it
tickets.
out loud though.
Yeah, they don't come back. They're gonna be like, there she go right there.
Okay, come after me.
It's been 10 fucking years. You didn't
Hey,
get me then?
They don't care.
They don't care. How about you, brother? You ever experienced something a little different?
I experienced a situation when I was in Old Town and I was getting gas, and it was obviously it was a white person in front of me getting gas, and same amount, $20.
Yeah.
He did it, checked out, he got gas. I came asked for gas, $20. She asked for my ID.
To get some gas?
Get some gas, and I was like, when they ask for ID, like I never heard that shit.
Yeah.
Oh, when it's above $15, they ask for ID, and I was like, well why didn't you ask for his ID?
Yeah.
And she just got quiet, and then she gave my ID back.
Oh,
and I was like, all right, I see what we're doing.
I see what we're going.
That's
crazy.
So,
Man, I got some friends who are from New York and they're Dominican, right?
Oh.
And they came to visit us. And so they went to the store to get some wine, and they're like, oh, hey, I need to see your ID. But they keep on hearing everything about Arizona, right? So they're like, oh, why do you need to see my ID? Are you profiling me? And they're like, oh, man, in Arizona, you have to show an ID to get alcohol. She's like, yeah, right. I didn't see you give it to anybody else. And he's like, man, there's somebody else in line. And he's like, she's like, I think I'm going to get arrested around here.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Everything's uptight in Arizona, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, it's like this is an ongoing thing for decades upon decades, and everyone is affected somehow, some way. We all know our system is broken, but how can we really make change with our broken system? So for me, I always think about, because I came from a family-oriented family, so. For me, it's like it starts from home. The change has to start from home. The dialogue has to start from home. Which, growing up Asian, we don't really have those open conversations. And I've talked about breaking the cycle and stuff like that. And that's something that I want to start doing, because these are uncomfortable conversations. But I feel like somebody had to start it. So, talking about racism, talking about what do you call it, as colorism and stuff like that.
You talking to your kids about that, Ryan? That's a good question.
No, I'm actually, the books that I got them are all like, I just got my son, he's starting to read that one called Things That Make White People Uncomfortable.
Ooh.
Wow.
I never heard about that book.
I got the daughter.
That's
good. And like, you know, we get them all like these like books that are kind of like the regular stories that you learn growing up, but then the other side of the stories, you know?
Wow.
Like,
What's it called again?
What's the name?
I got lucky though, because my mom came to the United States when she was, I think, 6 or 7, and she Philippines, right? And so when she came, it was the end of World War II, and so everyone all the time was like, "What do you want, you dirty Jap?" And like, "You Japs, get out of here!"
Yeah.
And all this stuff, right? And so when she moved over from Pennsylvania to Utah, right? They moved there. She said the only one that would talk to her was this really big black girl. She said she's the only one that would like defend me, because it was me, the Jap, and her, the black person.
Yeah, they like, I see you.
So she's always like, that gave my mom a perspective, because the Philippines, you don't have black people. I mean, you have dark-skinned, you know, Filipinos, but it's not the same, you know?
Yeah. Even in the black community, it's different. It's like, you know, you light skinned, you think you better than me, or you got the good hair, or look at you, or you doing all this. I'm sure you experience the same thing, brother.
The same thing.
They look at you like, yeah, you ain't dark, you ain't got them problems, you brown. Come, it's always like that.
It's always like that. It's always gonna be like that.
In every culture.
I don't know why.
I don't know why.
I don't know who started it.
Who started
this bullshit?
Who started that?
Who started this
The white
shit?
people, man. We have to blame the white people.
The white folks. They was like, we're gonna keep all the dark folks outside because they got dark because of the sun. Keep everybody else inside. They got light because they're not outside. Come on, go figure.
But besides of like starting that dialogue, I'm 35 years old, and I just like
She old too, man.
just turned 35.
I'm young.
Don't let that fool you.
Man. God damn.
Asian jeans with some good skincare.
They say Asian don't raisin,
Asian don't raisin.
black don't crack
Asian don't raisin.
unless you smoke it.
But for the, you know, like 35 years that I've been living, this is the first time that my mom and I even talk about, because she called me. Somebody sent her the video of George Floyd, and the same thing that you said.
He called for his mama?
When he called for his mom,
That was tough.
that broke her heart. And I didn't even see that part until she mentioned it, and I had to rewatch it again. I had to stop it at some point because it literally, it makes me sick to my stomach, and it didn't make me feel good. Like, y'all just fucking watch and then do nothing.
Cause you know, Ryan, if somebody was choking a dog in Old Town Scottsdale, oh hell no, somebody go get jumped.
Yeah.
Try to choke a dog.
Yeah. If he pulled it too hard off his leash, they'd be like, "Hey man, stop! You're abusing your dog." You know.
That's right. That's right. You can't spank your kids nowadays in public. Don't you hit that kid? Oh.
Well, like think of that. Like that. These whole riots didn't even become real riots until Scottsdale got robbed. And you know.
Real talk. That's
exactly. And you know whose fault? All blame? Jake Paul. Yeah. When he came out here and was with his little buddies.
Oh, we just gonna drop some names like that?
Yeah. I mean,
fuck it.
Yeah. Everybody know.
Man, and did you watch any of those videos?
Yeah.
There was like, I'd say like 0.5% people of color were at that mall robbing things. You know what I mean? Like it was like.
Yeah, I didn't see too many brothers because they know they're like, oh, we ain't going to Scottsdale. And what happened? I woke up at like 7:30 in the morning Sunday. I was like, Scottsdale got jacked up.
They got killed.
Yeah.
Man, and by 11:59 a.m., Deucey was like, shutting you down. I'm closing the studio. He was like, Puff Daddy. I'm closing the studio. I'm shutting down the studio.
It's funny because I remember when I was growing up too, I used to watch like Eddie Murphy and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
When they do comedy about white people, they're like, oh, well, geez, honey, maybe we should call the police.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I can just imagine like the people in Scottsdale were like, police, there's people robbing the mall.
Yeah.
We need to call the governor.
And they're like, what? Oh, hell no, we shutting that down.
You know, it's crazy. It's like, speaking of cops, it's like growing up, you see cops and you adore them, and you're like, because they're the ones supposed to save your life.
Protect you.
You know, protect you and save, you know what I'm saying? And then, in growing up, and then you see how it's like basically it's a legalized murder.
But not all of them are bad though.
It's like they're bullies.
No, but not all cops are bad though.
I'm not saying they're not bad, but for you to watch and not do something, y'all are the same boat. For you to just stand there and not do nothing.
Yeah, like those other
y'all
three cops.
The same.
They knew what was going on when he had his knee on his neck. Like they knew that like that.
And I apologize for my people. On behalf of my people.
He could have been a Jackie Chan.
Shame on you.
He could have been a Jackie Chan of the whole movie. You see the video?
You could have been a Jackie Chan for our people.
That's what she said. That
and
was
you just stood there and fucking watched and did fucking nothing. It was what?
I don't get it.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, it's true. It's state-sponsored harassment. It's state-sponsored murder. Like, you know, I grew up and my dad was a farm guy, big dude, right? And I remember he hated the cops, and I'm always like, man, why do you hate the cops so much? Because like every time they'd pull him over, he'd roll his window down like this much. Like, now, what do you want? And they'd be like, you know, oh, let me see your license. He's like, I don't need my license. Where's your your captain or whatever?
Yeah. Where's your sergeant? I'm talking to your boss.
Guys, man, you're making a big deal around here, man. Stop, you know. And he's like, no, we don't have to. Okay, no.
Yeah. But we can't talk to cops like that. Hell no.
Yeah.
I get freaked out when they behind me. Palms be sweating, heart be racing fast, and I got all my papers. Yeah. I'm like, man.
The first time you mentioned that, like a couple episodes ago.
Oh, when I broke it down.
When you like the way you said it, it made me feel so horrible for somebody to go through and have those emotions.
Yeah.
And you didn't even do shit.
It's very It's very
terrifying.
Traumatic.
Yeah.
Like even if I see him in front of me to the side, and I know I gotta go along next to him, I'm like, I'm gonna go this way. Yeah. I avoid him. I don't know why.
It shouldn't even be like that.
Shouldn't be that way.
That's what I'm saying. Shouldn't even be like that.
Shouldn't even be that way. But that's the world we living in now. But what has to happen though? I mean, this helps. Yeah. The dialogue helps.
Where Ryan was in politics before.
Yeah, Ryan was in politics. Tell us that story.
Yeah. So look, man, like with the whole police stuff, and one of the things that we've been working on was this community advisement board. You know, police that has to happen. Otherwise, like this whole defund the police thing, that's like one of those lines that you're walking like, okay, defund the police, really?
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Who's going to be the one that's going to swoop in if they do? And trust me, when they do swoop in, a lot of times it's a problem for everybody, even the person who called, you know? But sometimes the shit hits the fan, and like sometimes you need the cops, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So as someone who's been in business and with business owners, public safety is somewhat important, okay? But,
yeah.
Okay.
But that being said, people shouldn't be worried about getting harassed for nothing, you know what I mean? Or like,
exactly.
or killed just for a $20 whatever, you know what I mean? Like, still pick a cigarette, it's okay, fine. No one should get killed for that.
No. Yeah.
So do you think, what city that I sent you, was it LA, that they took the $150 million funding for the police reform?
I didn't see it. Probably was LA.
And, you know,
it was LA.
It was LA, right?
It was LA.
Okay. Do you think every state should do that? And how will it really improve if we...
Here's what people don't understand, okay? So police are funded through cities and counties for the majority. There are some state stuff and all that stuff too, right? But mostly cities and counties pay for this stuff. And a city's number one in almost every case bill is public safety, current, public safety's pensions, and then unfunded stuff that's from the past, you know? Pensions from the past. So every city, public safety, meaning police, fire, paramedics, are like the top bill, okay? And so when you say, okay, I want to defund the police, or I want to take this away and put it into community development. So a city may also pay for some education, but a school district does. Education is one of the top things that stops crime. If you're more educated, they do less crime because they have more opportunity, right? Housing, availability for public housing, right? And affordable housing. That stops crime because people can pay less, have more money to get, you know, save or do whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like that's a great start, you know? That's a great start. But it's almost, the whole system is so messed up. The whole system's just so messed up.
You're not giving me hope. You're not giving me hope.
This is what bothers me. This is what bothers me about this. I'm like, I talked to my wife and I'm like, dude, why do we even bother anymore? It's like, at some point, people are just going to start shooting at the cops because they don't have any options. There's the first thing they're going to
be bad.
Over, give him my gun. I got to go kill him because otherwise I'll get killed or I'm going to jail. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only option, you know? And so what's the in-between? I don't know. You know, I mean, like, defund the cops and then you give all the money to community things. Well, we saw how the CARES Act is just going to big businesses, not to any mom and pop shops, not, you know, very few are getting it, you know? So like, how do you regulate the proper use of funding, you know?
You're right.
I mean, what was that I read? They're like planning to build more prisons. It's like, it's not even like you're focusing on the wrong fucking things. So it's like, should we take it out from that money and then like, because if we're not gonna get it from police reform or whatever, should we take it from that money instead of building fucking more prisons? Why don't you put that in the community? Well, that work.
And prisons have gone mostly private now because it's a money system. It's a whole money system, you know?
It's all about fucking money.
It's a business.
It's
a business.
Yeah, because, you know, every person that sits in a cell has a certain amount of money that person's worth. It's $1 on somebody's head.
That's right.
Just school, right? So the school is also a money system. So you're like, okay, hey, private school, we're going to give you a voucher. It's going to be, I don't know, $7,000 per student per year. You know, but public school might get this much per year per student because, you know, of costs, whatever. And it's a dollar. So that's why when you look at schools, they're also built by those same companies that build prisons.
That's right.
Because they look just like a prison or like a jail. They look the same.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. My best friend I went to high school with, he went to Cal Poly. I went to San Francisco State, and he said that he builds schools. He told me the exact same thing. They're built just like prisons. You know, central control, how they move to go to cafeteria, how they move. I'm like, that's interesting.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, schools and elementary schools. They're built like prisons.
Built a prison pipeline because you're just getting a person ready. And if it's a bad school in a bad neighborhood, you're just like, hey, I'm just getting ready for that kid to be controlled into another controlled environment.
Yeah. That's right. Tell me more about your business. Tell me more about how you got the shoe deal. Tell me more about where that's headed.
First,
Shoes.
me and my buddy Junior, we started working every day about 3 years ago, and then it was just something that we were both training to go play professional basketball overseas.
Oh, okay.
And then during that moment we were training, we were waiting to hear back from agents and stuff like that. And then that's when we were training hard, and after a tough workout, I was like, yo, let's start a brand or something. You know what I mean? Like let's start something. You know what I mean? And he was like, what do you want to call it? And I was like, just call it Working Every Day. Cause that's what we do. And I mean, that's try to create something that's universal. So it's not just like one dominant race can wear. That's create something that our grandma or grandpa can wear. You know what I mean? So like that was the whole idea. Then that got going, that got out, got it to some important people, athletes, and then we branched out, started doing our own thing a little bit, and then that's when I noticed that I wanted to launch a streetwear brand. Okay. And that's when I launched Rainy Days, which is my new personal brand, and I always wanted to have a shoe as well, and I wanted to take care of the women first, ladies first, you know what I mean? Okay. So I came out with a shoe called Dwayne's, which is my middle name, Dwayne's.
Oh, good.
And I launched that.
Dwayne's, called Dwayne's?
Yeah, it's called Dwayne's, and it's made in Spain. Nice lady named Martina. She helps me out in Spain. We design it and stuff like that.
Okay.
That's dope.
It's in stores as well. It's at Kalani's Closet.
Oh, good.
Before it was in Fashion Square Mall.
With Wendy now.
So
rocking and rolling.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh shoot.
See, the whole energy is shifting. See, clean all that negativity out.
There you go. We need to cleanse anyways.
Nah, but the whole pandemic kind of screwed that up a little bit. You know what I mean? But I was still able to bounce back and do online stuff like that, and it's in stores, and I got the men's coming out in the fall. So
who's Vengeance? Is that you too?
This is just a protest shirt that I created for the Rain Days brand. 100% of the profit goes to Black Lives Matter.
There you go.
So
good for you. Good for you.
It's on site right now if you want to order.
I heard the best analogy to that. Like some people say, "Oh, all lives matter." It's like, no, you're not saying that. Man, Black Lives Matter.
I have some comments like that. Comments in the comments.
If my arm is broke and I go to my doctor and the doctor says, "Oh, but wait a minute, you said all bones matter, right? So let me just fix your leg." No. Fix my arm. You said all bones matter, right? That's like you saying to your wife, if she said, "Hey, do you love me?" I love everybody. I love the whole world. She was like, "No.
All my wives matter, okay?
All wives matter." And especially your wife, being a Latina, she gonna be like, "Oh, hell no. I matter."
Hands coming up.
So we ain't saying that, all lives matter, but right now, they not treating black folks right. Black lives matter. I mean, do I count? Do I matter? I saw this one comedian, he was talking about, like, man, I just want to, he said the LGBTQ, they were like, we want equal rights. Black folks, can you be civil? I mean, can we just be, can you be cool?
Just civil, at least.
I'm like, I mean, what's going to happen? Like, damn.
I was actually reading something about, like, so how much do lives matter, okay?
Yeah.
So if you're, like, a Mexican man, how much more of a right or privilege do you have over a Mexican woman? Or if you're a black man, how much more do you have over a black woman, right? And so they, after all this thing, they realized that the black woman is like the lowest, the totem pole, who has the most discrimination for just about everything.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, I'm gay, and I'm black, and I'm a woman. You're like, oh man, oh man, what are you gonna do?
What's funny? My daughter, who's 14, said to me just last night, she's, wait a minute, I'm a female, I'm part black, I'm Asian, Puerto Rican, and she was like, oh man, I've got 4 or 5 negative something against me. I'm like, yeah, I guess you do. But isn't it
sad how it's like, she understands it. She understands it, how it affects it because of she's smart for one, but for her at 14 to think about and see
Yeah.
those as a negative,
Yeah.
that makes me sad.
Social
Makes me
media.
sad. Social media.
Social media is the biggest tool.
And you gotta make us a pair of shoes. They should be called CORE, Community Organizing Recon Essential. And it should have a little pocket for a key, so if you get arrested, you put your house key in it real quick. And like some different stuff, so that should be the next thing for
Like a survival kit.
We turn into not fashion, this is survival kit now. Yeah.
I'm gonna look into it, Ryan.
like you got like a hidden camera interwoven into the fabric.
Yeah,
You can just stream live. Yeah, you mean recording?
That's like a GPS tracker inside of it, so your friend's like, "Dang, the police just took her. We don't know where they are." Like, we see you down at 3rd Avenue.
They already got those wearable devices. I mean, you can interwove that into the fabric. I'm sure you could.
Yeah.
So my question with the protest, right? Because
Yeah.
my friend was saying that because I asked them, because I'm coming from that was the first time I experienced protests, and it was very powerful for me. That's how I took it. But it's like I asked him, it's like, when does the protest stop? And they said they're not gonna stop unless they really put something into difference.
They've been going for like 10 days now.
I think it's
10 days
12.
straight.
It's 12 now.
12
days
yeah.
straight. Yeah.
So it's
I mean, I think it's gonna keep going. But if another incident happens where someone else dies again,
Woo!
it's gonna be a fucking riot.
it's gonna be like a purge.
Oh,
Yeah.
don't say that.
It's just facts.
Yeah.
It's not gonna
But,
go
you know,
well.
it's just a matter of time, because now with cell phones, people got killed forever, but they didn't have cell phones. Nobody saw it. And
Right.
They just turned off Axon cameras, right? Not only that, they only keep that footage for 30 days, and they only keep what they deem the most important footage, right? So essentially, like, they could be like, oh, that guy got killed. This that was unimportant footage. Mark down something.
Yeah,
right
delete
here.
that.
Yeah.
It's very crazy. When they did the looting in Scottsdale, and a couple days later, I think my girlfriend called me. She was like, they try to start to go to prominent white area
Neighborhood,
and
yeah.
try to take over houses, and that fucking scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, that's
Literally,
what-
while we were FaceTiming, her dad was putting shotguns in every door that they have, and then I saw her dad hand her a pistol, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on? Are we
Yeah.
on that fucking? Should I bring my gun inside? Because it's in my car right now. Like, what is the world?
You right.
This is a
But a lot of
different.
people, a lot of that stuff starts from social media, and it becomes that paranoia. Like how do we? This is the problem, is that we've allowed people who don't care of us to become someone we listen to, right? So it's like Coca-Cola is like, oh man, we're creating this better nation, blah blah, or this government or whatever, and we stop listening to your neighbor saying like, oh, you know what, man, I've cut down trees my whole life. Let me show you how to cut down that tree. Or, oh, I've done sprinklers my whole life. Let me show you how to do that. You're like, nah, man, I gotta go, call this company and have them tell me that I need to spend $1,000. And we think that for some reason we respect that better than just saying, hey, buddy, like, you're my neighbor. I know you. I know you're not gonna kill me because I know you're my neighbor.
Because you my neighbor. Yeah.
Like, we'd rather trust the police than trust our neighbor, Why? I don't know. Why we've gotten like that,
Interesting.
We have 1 million friends on Facebook, but you don't know anybody in your neighborhood,
And also, like, what happened to coronavirus?
Yeah, what happened to coronavirus?
It's gone.
I mean, I seen all them protesters
They
sitting on people's laps and
Yeah,
stuff.
it's not 6 feet at all. Like, I don't understand. Like,
I went to the protest. I got it already.
You got it.
I fucking got it, and I'm not getting that vaccine.
Oh,
I thought
no.
I did at one point, but then I got that test, and they're like, no, you never had it. I was like, oh, I just was really sick then. Okay. I was like, you had. Remember, we thought we had it at the.
Yeah, I had it at the Asian.
The Asian festival.
At the Asian festival. No, I was sick as a dog. I had a fever. I was coughing. I couldn't breathe.
And you had it?
I think so. We don't know what it was, but it was in February.
Yeah, but the people who actually have it, man, I have a couple friends who have it. And they're like, no, I am dying. Like, it's not like normal sick, not like.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I don't know what I had. I'm like, oh man, I don't feel good. But it lasted like a week or two, and then it was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, on New Year's, almost 90% of my friends are sick with me. and like by the time like towards the weekend, I completely lost my voice.
That's
and then my mom came back from Asia in February and started talking about COVID. I'm like, Mom, you're crazy.
So what's next for you, bro? What's the next big thing you thinking about launching? You got the shoes, you got the t-shirts.
Yeah, t-shirts. I would say launching the men's shoe.
Okay.
And just trying to just get it on like bigger names that have bigger platforms, so that they can spread the movement.
Yeah.
Have you seen Shaq's story?
It was funny about Shaq. Shaq. This is back in the day when I used to like drive Uber and stuff like that back in the day, and I picked up one of his PR, and I got in touch with Shaq. So Shaq actually has like 7 shirts at his house right now. So he never wore it. Huh. So it's like 4 years ago though. So.
And get him to show up in one thing with that shirt on.
Just one thing. But he said something pretty profound. He said back when he was playing basketball, everybody wanted the Jordans. Everybody wanted Jordan shoes. And he had a shoe. And he was like, what can I do? So he said he wanted his shoe in Foot Locker always placed next to Jordan. Because he said maybe 1 out of 5 is going to like Shaq. And then he said, who's the biggest shoe distribution? Walmart. So he went to Walmart and put all his shoes in there. It was like, oh. He said he sold like 7.9 million shoes. I'm like, that's smart.
Yeah.
If you can't beat them, if you don't want to join them, go the other way.
Smart.
So
That's
look into
smart.
doing that.
Yeah, I can look into that.
Look into getting the Ross. So I found Ross got all kind of stuff.
They really
He's
do.
rotating.
They really do.
Ross, TJ Maxx. I mean Walmart. I mean they always looking for something.
Right.
Yeah, buy everything from. Or like what's that? Nordstrom Rack, man, that place.
Oh, Nordstrom Rack. There you go. There you go. So what's next for you, Ryan? What you trying to do? I see you bought a new truck.
Yeah, I'm trying to just be an off-grider, man. You know, I figured like it's kind of like did you read that last statement from Paul Penzo? Like, hey, the cops are gonna be really busy. Like, you know, just be safe out there. Basically, it's almost like you're on your own.
You're on your own. You're right.
So it's kind of like, man, I gotta get back into my prepping days and like, get a few more properties that cash roll themselves.
Yeah.
Be on the road and live simply, meager, save for the future.
So you gonna stay here in America or what?
Oh, of course. I mean, like, you always have your home, but at the same time, you're like, if we're worried about literally the police killing us here, like, what's so different than anywhere else in the world that I don't know that you
I don't know. When you was in Thailand, how did you feel? I didn't feel that way when I was in Asia.
I wasn't afraid of the police at all, man.
At all. And they had military police.
But when I was there, I landed a day into their curfew there because they had a military crew when I was there. And I was looking around like, we had to be back every night by 6 o'clock. And I was like, this place is like, there's a party here. Nothing's even happening different,
Yeah.
And they're happy. They're super happy everywhere. It's like, oh, hi, yeah. Right, try. I'm like, all right, man,
Have you been overseas yet?
I ain't been overseas yet.
No?
No.
I advise every person of color, you must leave the country.
I want to go to Europe, Brazil,
Yeah.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah. I just live in Puerto Rico. Beautiful.
Australia too.
Yeah.
Brazil's good, man.
Brazil's good. Now they got hit hard with this Corvette.
Oh my God! Not only that, they're experiencing like problems.
Yeah, 10 times worse. Yeah, their economy is a little different. Yeah.
My last question.
Oh, my last question.
Since we're approaching,
Yeah,
I'm
we're about
like
to wrap
just
it
looking at. I'm just trying to be mindful with time. But first of all, thank you guys for being with us,
being here. Sure.
spending your time with us, and having this open dialogue and talking about
Just life
and how it's this COVID and this looting and protests and all that stuff. So with all that, the main thing is that we want change. That's what I took it from that situation that we're all experiencing, right?
Yeah.
It's all about equality and making the change.
Right.
I truly believe that. I mean, it starts from within, right? How can we show accountability to make the change? What can you do as an individual to make the change?
What can you do?
I would say just keep using these free social media platforms and just not worrying about like what's gonna happen if you speak on the racism, because obviously if you're in the business, like some people might not like what you're saying, you might lose customers and stuff, but just being a good person and just speaking the facts, like it's not right, like we need to change, and like we need to see, because like we got a voice, but there's people that are way more successful that got bigger platforms that if they say anything gets out social media worldwide. So I would say just for myself and like you guys, just keep spreading the word and encouraging the big people that got big platforms to keep spreading the word as well.
How about you, Ryan? What are you gonna do?
For me, like I just think we gotta work really hard to be a mentor and a mentee, right? So a mentor, I mean, that can even be for a second, or it can be to your mom or whatever. When your mom's like, "Oh, you know what? All lives matter." You know what? You're like, "Mom, serious? Like, let's talk about this." You know what I mean?
Let's talk about this.
Don't get mad. Don't like, and even in people on the street, there's people on the street that like, "What the beep?" Like, what are you trying to say? And normally, like, you get mad, like, that's it. I'm gonna just fight you right now. You know? And you gotta be like, "Hey, man, like, I get why you say that, but like, let's think about this." You know, like we gotta like tone ourselves down a little bit and start helping each other out a little more. You know, like I mean, can you imagine all those people who are really, because they're so afraid, they're really just so afraid. And these people are in pain, you know? So if they weren't in such pain and so afraid, they might not feel so angry about the Mexican coming to steal their job, or, whatever it is, Maybe if they knew an actual Mexican, or if they knew an actual Chinese person or something, they wouldn't be so afraid,
Yeah, you're right. Because before I went to Asia, you know how they say about, you don't want to go to Islamic State, the Muslims. And so what I'm telling you, so Malaysia is a Muslim country. And when you go to customs, they have signs, do not take pictures. I was like this. And the dude, it was like 340 people, it's packed. The dude was like, "Hey, you can't be taking no pictures." He got quiet. He got out of his chair. I was like, "Oh shit, I'm about to go to jail." In a Muslim country, I was spooked. "Give me your phone." Snatched my phone out of my hand. Delete that. I'm like, "Okay, you in my country now." I'm like, "Shit, I'm about to go to jail." So I couldn't leave his line because it would look bad. People was like looking at me like, "This motherfucker about to get arrested."
Yeah.
So when I get up to the counter, snatches my ID. "What you doing in my country?" I was like, "I'm gonna come see my in-laws." "In-laws? You married a woman from Penang?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Oh, where's she at?" "Oh, she on the other side." "This your first time here?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Shame on you. Welcome home, brother." I'm like, "Oh shoot, it was different. Now I'm brother now." I'm like, "Oh shoot, it was mad luck, but you can't take no pictures here." I'm like, "Around the corner you can." I was spooked.
That's crazy.
But that was crazy.
That's crazy.
I have mad love over there. I mean, they prayed 5 times. They went to the mosque over there. They got churches over there. They got temples, and they all seem to get along. Talking about wife, I'm like, why can't we have this kind of neighborhood in America?
Yeah, when I went there too, they had the little arrows in the corner of all the rooms on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Tell you which way is the east, or
Yeah. They got this one section down in Malaysia. They had like the Hindus over here, the Indians over here, the Chinese over here. And they were all like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" So anyway, thank you once again for being here. I appreciate you. How can people find you, Ryan? You got a website? You got a business? What you doing? Nothing?
Look me up, man. Ryan Winkle. You'll find me.
Ryan
Google me, baby.
Ryan
Google
don't
me.
found at all.
How about
Do you want to answer the last question?
What's the last question?
How can you...
Oh, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm actually feeding people who are affected by COVID-19. I'm the vice president of Arizona Asian American Association. We partner with ICNA Relief, and we go to food pantries. We take boxes of food to people.
That's dope.
Like, no questions asked. You just pull up, get the food. Like yesterday, we gave out how many pounds of food?
Dude, ICNA Relief is a good organization.
They're good people. So each family gets 2 big boxes full boxes of produce. They get 2 big boxes of dairy, and they got like 4 boxes of yogurt per family. So if you got 2 families, it was double that. I mean, this one truck pulled up. Well, we got 4 families. All right, that's 18 boxes. And they're like, whoa, they didn't have enough room.
That's crazy.
But yeah, that's what we do. So that's what I'm personally doing.
Dope.
Trying to feed. We fed the Navajo Nation. That's another story. That's another podcast, because it's sad up there. Navajo Nation, the Four Corners, the Native Americans. They are, woo.
You gotta have Selena on your show.
Okay, yeah, I do, Selena. Yeah, but that's what I'm personally doing. You know,
Yeah.
you see me out there.
After like the protests and like the conversations that I have with my friends, it kind of like opened my eyes into. Because I've never voted in my entire life.
What?
No, I haven't. No, never.
No, that's what I'm doing too. What? You ain't never voted?
I never voted, and then when I was doing pageant, it was actually a conversation, like kind of got heated up conversation with one of the board that I'm not gonna say no names. It's like, how can you be in pageant and not vote and blah blah blah, and they're so passionate about it. For me, it's like I'm not educated with politics. And if you're saying that my vote counts, I want to be educated, but before my vote counts. So for me, it affected me of like, how can it affect, when I went home that night, it made me question myself of like, I felt the pain. I want to change with you, but what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like
Be back.
it made me think of, maybe I should really educate myself and start from what I can do, which is trying to vote at least the mayor and get educated with what is that mayor going to do to create that change. So that's how I took it from. You can't just be sympathetic of what other people's doing. You kind of like have to turn the finger and point at you and like, what are you really doing? So it's kind of like more like a self-reflection of like, I can no longer be sad for you guys and feel the pain. It's like, what can I actually do to be the change and influence the change?
Got it.
But the cool part about that though is that you, instead of getting mad at that person for saying that to you, you actually like sought to understand, and so you're like, okay, maybe I'll check that out, instead of being like, you know what, screw you, I don't need this. You know?
Yeah.
That's what our problem is, literally, as Americans all the time, is we all think we don't need this. I don't have to talk to you. Blah blah blah. You know.
You right.
Going on, you know.
You right. You got a website, brother? You got a social media? Put it out
Yeah,
there.
man. You can follow me at Redcupboi, REDCUPBOI, and website rainydayscompany.com and workingeverydaycollection.com.
Got it.
Thank you guys for being here. My name is Tasha DeChosa.
Romero Russell.
This is Late Night Chronicles Season 1 Curfew Edition, Episode
7.
Lucky 7.
We out.
We out. Back next week. That's it. Oh, and thank you, Blackwater.
Thank you, Blackwater.
Blackwater. Cheers.
Blackwater.